It'll pop up, man. Here we go. And we're live, folks. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the vodcast. This is your boy Maximo here. We're on the east side of San Antonio. And I got to tell you, folks, if you're down in Texas right now, you better have your jacket ready because it is going to be 29 degrees tonight. Yesterday, it was 84. And so if we're not having a conversation about climate change, which we're really not having tonight, but if you're not having a conversation on climate change, what are you talking about, folks? I mean, we can't just complain about the weather. We got to take it to the senators. We got to take it to our Congress people and tell them, let's have a conversation about climate change. And tonight, we're going to talk about a lot of different things with my man, SpyMC. What's up, man?
What up, people? How y'all doing? How you doing, man?
What's up, man? Good to see you. Thanks for coming out tonight, man.
Yeah, man. It's been I flew in from Maine to do this.
Woo! Came all the way from Maine. So let me set the backdrop, and we're going to let Spy introduce himself a little bit. Thank you so much for our viewers, those that are with us every Wednesday night. You know we're here. We're live. We're on Facebook. Make sure you're commenting, you're liking, you're sharing. Send this out to all your people. We're having a conversation. We're having a healthy conversation as well because there's a lot of drama. There's a lot of negativity in the social media space, and we ain't doing that here. We're talking about good stuff. We're talking about positivity. We have two brothers that are going to embrace each other and have a healthy conversation tonight. So when I first moved to San Antonio a few years ago, met up with a couple of folks. One of the individuals that everybody knows now is Andrea Vocab Sanderson. Big shout out to Vocab. Got connected with her and she says, you got to meet Spy. I was like, absolutely. Who's Spy? She introduced me to this cat right here. And from the jump, it was like, all right, man, what we got going on, what we doing? We got this show. What are you going to do this? You're going to come out. And his brother's been down from day one. And he's been doing his thing on a lot of different levels, man. So with that being said, Spy, give us in your words, who is Spy? What's your mission, man? Tell us what you're doing these days. What do you want the viewers to know about you?
All right. Well, SpyMC, San Antonio native, born here, used to live in Minnesota, artist, rapper, battle league owner, and event curator, and, a gatherer of people. I bring people together. I try and bring all walks of life together that normally wouldn't be in the same space, for instance, with events. I try and bring people together that normally wouldn't be at shows, mixing in the performances with the vendors and the live art, and then, trying to get dancers in there, B-boys, B-girls, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, that's just like a little brief summary of who I am. I guess I started doing music, I want to say, became a DJ at 14. Started DJing at raves, drum and bass, emceeing the drum and bass. That led into me, I was already rapping at that time, but I wasn't taking it seriously. I was just, freestyling, trying to rap over songs on the radio and things. I had no idea what I was doing back then. But, I was DJing at all these raves, and then I came across a couple flyers when I was 15 or 16 of some freestyle battle events. And, I started entering those, which would be, freestyle tournaments. Certain amount of MCs enter. It's rapping over beats, and certain amount of MCs enter. The first one I was in, there was a preliminary round to get past, so you had to freestyle about a specific topic.
Yeah.
And at that time, I just knew battling and, talking down on people and roasting people. So, when I saw this, I was like, let me try and rap about this. I sucked at it. But, it was a learning process. So, from there, I started trying to write more.
Okay.
So I guess I was 17. I linked up with a friend of mine who he was a death metal drummer, a drummer for a death metal band.
Wow.
And oddly enough, he was like, hey, man, check this out. I went into his room. He pressed play on a beat, and it was like a hip-hop. I want to say this was more so around early 2000s. So, 2002, 2003. So whatever hip-hop was sounding like at that time,
yeah,
that's what type of beat it was, And then I got me in the booth. He said, record something, and I just started rapping.
Going.
I just started freestyling, and I was like, okay, this is cool. I've never recorded anything ever in my life at the time. I think I was 16, 17. And then, You know.
So how long ago was that? How many years ago was that?
Oh wow. Let's see. We're 2022 right now, so man, almost 20 years.
Okay, so 20 years ago. So let me ask you this: when you was 13, 14, whenever you had an influence about thinking, you know, you were gonna get into this hip hop thing, or just, you know, being a young kid growing up, and you grew up in San Antonio, correct? Mm-hmm. Who were your biggest influences in rap, in hip hop, in music in general?
I want to say biggest influences at the time, which would be Wu-Tang, more so specifically Method Man. I was also listening to, you know, Bus Driver. I was listening to Project Blowed. That's basically like a label with a, you know, plethora of artists on it, and that's West Coast based. So, you know, Wu-Tang East Coast, Project Blowed West Coast. I was listening to a lot of Jay Dilla, you know, Beats, Slum Village. Yeah. You know, and that's Midwest. Yeah. You know, Detroit, Midwest. And you know, I was listening to, like, you know, what we had here going on in Texas. You know, like Swisher House. You know, DJ Screw, all that.
Sure, Houston.
Mm-hmm. But it's not that it didn't resonate with me. It just, you know, it wasn't like my favorite thing to listen to. Yeah. I was more into like the upbeat type of beats. It wasn't until like later on in life that all that grew on me, you know, the music from, you know, where we're at here in South Texas. But that's because, you know, at the time I was DJing and drum and bass at the same time. So it's like I was also like into electronic music.
Yeah.
You know.
So it's interesting too, though, and shout out, because you mentioned DJing. Mm-hmm. And so shout out to DJ Johnny Zip. Our guy. I know he's got to be watching this.
My G.
If you're watching this, homie, give us a like, give us a comment. And if you just tuning in, we're talking MCing, we're talking hip hop. Drop us your questions. Drop us your favorite MCs in the comment section. Any questions that you have for Spy, let me know. I'm going to get to them all. And listen, one of the things you're touching on, though, is one of the see, because I grew up in that same sort of era, right? Mm-hmm. And my biggest influences along that were those innovators operating at the crossroads of metal, grunge, rap, hip hop. Dude, when I first heard the Beastie Boys, I was like, dog, these white boys is bad. Right?
It's an iconic group that definitely changed like the rap, you know, music industry.
Hold it a little closer.
Definitely one of those iconic groups that changed, you know, the hip hop industry. And they're classic. You know, every I don't think there's a song of theirs that ever came out that I don't like. You know, I mean, maybe one I'd like less than the other, but you know, they definitely showed us all how to have a good time and not really care about anything, and you know, about like what authority or anything like that. You know, I mean, the whole rebellion. But yeah, I mean, that's just the Beastie Boys. Have you seen them live?
I haven't seen them live.
I haven't either. I was about to drop a crazy story, but no. I didn't get to see them live. I think my older brother did, though. But yeah, you know, it's Beastie Boys. Who else was an iconic group at that time that was coming out? I mean, that was Run DMC, right?
Run DMC.
Or they were a little bit before.
Yeah, they were before. And there's eras and waves, right? Mm-hmm. And there's different types of music that resonates with people differently. You know, if people are watching this, they're probably thinking of their group that influenced them the most. Some it was Wu-Tang. Yeah. You know, I know when Wu-Tang dropped that, what was it, the Triumph album, that was like, dude, it was a double disc album. I mean, people was going crazy off the whole Triumph. Yep. You know, that instrumental and stuff, you know, it was bad, man. It was, and again, there's, you know, there's an NWA crowd, or there was the Death Row crowd, right? There was all these different crowds and eras.
Called Quest crowd. Yeah. You know, I mean, just every region, you know, had its prolific group or artist that we basically all grew fond of, liked. And for us, you know, some of the rappers and MCs that are listening, like, we ended up kind of like basing our styles from them.
Okay.
Know?
So let's get into that. So for those folks that have never heard you, because we talking to a bad little MC right here, folks, if we gonna be honest, right? Because there's people that, like, I think it's like this. If you didn't know anything about an industry, whether it's painting, whether it's a piano, whether it's, you know, video production, you would know when something's just good.
Mm-hmm.
It's like wine. You might not even like wine, but if you taste a good, fine wine, you're like, this is some good ass wine.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people would experience when they heard you. And so let's talk about your style. Like, where did you get your style from? How do you create, you know, what makes you tick? You know, like what makes you continue to perform in the way that you do, like your style? Let's talk about styles.
Style. Well, because with me, I'm very versatile. You know, like I can rap and write to any style of beat. You know, any type of hip hop beat, whether it be like, you know, some boom bap or some trap or some, you know, lo-fi or, you know, heavily sampled or fully composed, you know, whatever the scenario would be on the beat, like I can write and rap to it. And I have multiple different styles as far as, you know, so I rap fast. And I get that from when I was emceeing in drum and bass, because as a drum and bass MC, I looked up to like the faster rappers that came out of like the UK, you know. With like some of my other songs, I was like heavily influenced by like artists like Royce the 5'9",
Yeah.
Crooked Eye, Elzai, you know, even like you know, I looked up to Be Real, you know,
Ooh,
yep,
Cypress Hill, come on now.
Yep. Busta Rhymes was another one of them. And so like being a drum and bass MC, when I was doing that, it's very high paced, fast paced, lots of people. Crowd is, you know, you're the MC, you're the host, you're the one that's toasting the mic, you're the one that's keeping the party going. Of course, the DJs are DJing, playing the fat beats and everything, but you're the one that's like keeping the party hype. So like I learned to grow my stage presence at an early age, and unknowingly, you know, because I wasn't doing hip hop back then. So like now I'm doing hip hop. I use all my energy that I used to do, you know, with the drum and bass emceeing, and I put that into my music for the live performance as well. So like hearing my music, you know, audio wise is one thing. Watching the performance is completely a different experience, you know. And both are equally enjoyable, of course. But you know, you definitely would have to come out to a show in order to fully experience exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, where can people find some of your stuff online for those folks that, I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about your touring. You just came back from Maine, like you said, you were out in the Northeast, but where can people find you online? Let's say if they want to dabble and sample you right now, where can they find you?
Okay. I got music on all streaming platforms. So Apple, Tidal, Spotify, Bandcamp, you know, so on and so forth. And then, you know, if you want to follow me on any of my social media outlets, iAMSPYMC, all across the board. So my artist page on Facebook, IG, TikTok, Twitter, you know, so on and so forth. You know, it's iAMSPYMC. So you can look me up. You can even Google me.
So I am SpyMC. And so I got to ask, where did you get the name Spy?
I guess when I started DJing, I really didn't know what I was going to call myself. And, you know, I was 14 years old playing my first show. Did not know, you know, I was just like, y'all want to play a show? Me and my older brother, we walked up, went to play a show. He didn't even have his name at the time. And then the promoter, I believe, gave him his name. And he was all like, what's your name? It's like, Joe. It's like, all right, well, I'm going to put you down as D-Joe, my older brother. And he's like, what do you want to go by? And I was like, damn it. At the time, 007, GoldenEye was my favorite game on the 64. So I was like, just put me down as Spy. He's like, all right, DJ Spy. And then I started emceeing the drum and bass more, and I kind of like separated from DJing. Like I would MC, I would want to get booked to MC out. So like it ended up being SpyMC. So basically, you know, shout out to GoldenEye.
Yeah. So shout out to all the gamers,
Hell
especially if you was coming up in the 90s. If you weren't efficient in GoldenEye, if you weren't playing GoldenEye, you probably weren't playing games. I mean, let's be honest, that's an iconic game. You had to have that in your hands, being on there with that James Bond.
I still want them to remake that game.
They
that
probably
would
will.
be so crazy to have like a free range world, but GoldenEye specifically played like that.
Yeah.
That would be dope. But yeah. You you know, the gaming world definitely influenced me when it came to my name, for sure.
You know what? Just speaking on that randomly, I'm not much of a gamer now, but when I was a kid, I came up playing, you know, PlayStation, PS3, all the things, right? Came up, and before that, playing Nintendo. Nintendo was my first gaming system, you know, playing all the games. I was playing Duck Hunt. I was playing Super Mario Brothers, and then came up, you know, in the whole gaming system. I remember the last true game that I played from start to finish was Grand Theft Auto 3.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
That's
I know
one.
them GTA folks, Grand Theft Auto, that was a game. That was a full game. You know what I'm saying? Stayed up all night playing them games, you know? And, you know, I know a lot of people that talk down on gamers, like they're worthless, that people are just wasting their time playing games. But I don't see it as destructive.
They're doing the opposite of that. They're destroying things on TV.
Yeah.
They're not out there in public messing things up. So, I mean, I don't know. I had a system for, like, the longest time, right? And I would always get, like, the newer systems. And I want to say 2012, I gave my gaming systems to my older brother. I think that was the, I don't know, it was some year. So, like, I had gone a good till COVID without a gaming system. I would play games on other, you know, other people's systems and all that, but it, for me, like, it was like distracting in a sense, because, you know, I'm wanting to focus on music more, but I can't. If I'm over here trying to get like the high kills on Call of Duty or something like that. But you know, and then it's crazy because, like, COVID happened. Yeah. And then my household actually got COVID for a period of time. So, like, I couldn't work for a good, like, month. So I was like, damn it. I ended up buying a PS4? Yeah, I ended up buying a PS4. And that was, like, mentally saved my life.
That's what I'm saying. That's the reason I mentioned the gaming system, because, you know, mental health is a serious thing that we don't talk about enough, you know, and COVID forced us to find new ways to kind of cope with other things. I mean, let's be honest, you know, people playing video games, I mean, again, it ain't destructive. You're not destroying the world, right? You're in there, you're, you know, strategizing. Your mind is thinking of conceptually, you know, strategies to advance and to move forward and stuff. But I just see a lot of people talking down about gamers, like they're wasting time or they're deadbeats and stuff, you know? I
mean, everyone has their preference.
There's a criticism.
Everyone has their preference, really. I mean, a gamer kid who's probably lazy or whatever, like, I'm not trying to, you know, categorize, you know, gamers as that, but I'm saying, like, you know, let's say if there is one, and then they're looking at the person that's, like, working like 50 hours a week and, like, stressed out every single day, blah blah blah, you know. So it's like everyone could say something about the next person. But I mean, I honestly, I don't see that. I see a lot of gamers that, like, you know, work their butts off so that way they can buy more games.
Yeah, right.
You know, they you know, it's, I don't know. I've personally haven't, like, heard that outside of, like, a parent telling a child that, you know. But, you know, adults, like, they can do whatever they want. You know, like, if they work their asses off to buy themselves the PS5 and play the game and not be one of the percentage out there that's, you know, drinking at the bars and then potentially, you know, hitting somebody, you know, like getting a DUI or something like that, then by all means, play that game. You know?
So shout out to all the gamers out there doing what you do. We see you. We support you too. You're seen. But let's get back. Let's talk about the battle rap aspect of what you do, because let's put it this way. For those folks that are watching this and don't know anything about battle rap, explain what battle rap is to them.
So, two rappers, you know, you match them up against each other, and obviously, well, the object is to, I guess, roast, in a sense, cut down, but, you know, with style, with bars, with good references, metaphors, you know, multisyllabics, you basically want to cut down the other person, your opponent, in better fashion than the other person does. You know, at the beginning, like, when, I'm not gonna say when battle rap was first started, but, like, you know, it was over beats at first. Now we're in an era, and it's been like this for a good, like, couple decades, the acapella battle rap. You know, so, like, what I do, how I grew up battling was over beats. And I ended up being in a position to when I moved up to Minnesota, I ran the Minnesota division for Grind Time, which was an acapella battle rap league. And at the time when I was running it, I was kind of against it. Like, well, not against it, but I was against me doing acapella battles. Just because I was like, freestyle purist over beats. And then I ended up doing one of the battles. I was like, oh, damn, this is kind of fun. So like the whole acapella stuff ended up becoming things to where like the freestyle over the beats is basically, off the top. Like it's off observation.
Yeah.
I'm saying things off of how you look, what you're wearing, what you're doing, what's happening in the moment. With the acapella league, with the battles, we know about each other beforehand.
Okay.
We're booked, let's say, like a month or two beforehand. We have time to prepare.
So you game plan.
Right. You have time to prepare. And what's, I guess, widely accepted now is that we're writing for the battles.
Okay.
So in preparation for the battles, you write. So let's say, we're booked for a match, 3 rounds each, however much the time limit is on each round. We write, or we have to rap within that time limit. And we're supposed to write. That's what you want. You're trying to display your best rounds, your best penmanship, your best delivery, your best presentation. So you write for that. Nowadays, you probably don't have very many people that could freestyle and do it very well. I mean, there is some, but those are like the elite battle rappers that are just like, they've been doing this for a long time, and they adjusted with the change from over beats to the acapella. So that's basically, what battle rap is if you don't know about it. Here in San Antonio, what I do, I run a league called Loudmouth League. I started it in Minnesota end of 2011 with a group of other people that were helping me run the Grind Time Minnesota division up there. And I was doing events till about like 2012, 2013. I moved back home to San Antonio, and then I think like fall, I want to say September or October, I did my first Loudmouth League event. And that was at Fitzgerald's. It was in conjunction with A-Hat, Texas at the time. And, ever since then, I've just been, doing events here in San Antonio. We were supposed to have an event this year. Our first one was supposed to be on, what was the date? February 5th, I believe. But that's when, we had, South Texas had another little winter scare.
Man.
And most of the battlers were traveling from the DFW area, which got hit the most.
Yeah.
And then, we had a couple people that ended up getting COVID. And so we ended up having to move that event to April 9th. So, the first event of the year that we're going to have will be the Loudmouth League Super Bowl 2022.
Okay.
And that's going down on April 9th.
Okay, so that's coming up.
Yeah. Location to be announced. It's more than likely going to be at Dent Guy's garage, but, I'm going to solidify that first. So as of right now, the venue is to be announced, but I will be battling at this one.
Okay.
So
some of the others you were not battling. You were just curating.
No, I was curating the events. I was finding new potential, finding new battlers, and trying to book, classic matchups with well-known battlers as well, and help build up some of the battlers that I found along the way. Because Loudmouth League, yes, I run it, but it's not about me. It's about the battlers. It's about the viewers. It's about, contributing to the battle rap culture globally, just in general. I never created Loudmouth League to be like, we're going to be the best. We're the #1 league. I really don't look at things like that. It's another platform to, contribute towards the battle rap culture for battlers that want to come battle on it. And there's a good following for battle rap here in San Antonio, but with what, we got 1.7 million people here. Yeah. I know for a fact I'm not reaching at least like 5,000 more, people than I normally would. So, things like this, being on this wonderful podcast, helps put people in the know of what we're doing. Yeah. We have a website, www.loudmouthleague.com. Okay. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/the Loudmouth League. And then, we're on Twitter and IG @Loudmouth League. So, people can keep current with us, or, just reach out to me too. It's a little bit different trying to navigate through the whole, now we're doing events more often. I'm not going to say post-COVID because we're still in it, but, so it's been, that whole aspect's been a little bit different with throwing events, because I used to do like 4, 5, 6 events easily. Now it's like I might do 3 events a year. But now, depending on, what happens.
The live event scene is still kind of up in the air. A lot of folks, hey, should we do, what do you call them, virtual events? Do we need to do live events where we invite everybody? Do we sell tickets? Do we let it be free? Sponsors, all that stuff, man. It's live events are still a tricky thing right now. But let's talk about, because the rap industry, right? The hip hop scene, MCing, all of the different subgenres that are under the rap umbrella. Because rap is, when people think of rap, again, talking to people that are, just sort of modest viewers or people that are on the outside of rap, people would think, oh, it's only one thing. But there's so many different genres, so many different subcategories under rap. And you're talking about battle rap. So again, you've talked about a really crafty experience where 2 competitors, so to speak, are faced off against each other and they got to outwit each other. It's very witty, right? And it's like, I think of when I came up playing sports. Like I came up playing sports, basketball, football, anything. And when I was on the court or where I was playing football or any field, soccer, you out there talking.
Oh yeah.
You out there talking.
Trash talking for sure. Whether in an actual legit, refereed game or, just playing some street ball or something, you gotta be ready for that.
If you ain't at least defending yourself talking, then you about to get ran off the court, right? So I liken, just that type of, you mentioned roasting, right? Defending yourself, whatever it may be, man. Let's talk about just, the wittiness that it takes, the craftiness, the savviness it takes someone to get up live and to freestyle, whether it's written or not, because, there's a certain amount of memorization that goes behind what's written. And when you live and you in front of people, man, performing live is one of the hardest things anybody's going to ever have to do.
Yeah, there's you get a lot of that where, because there's just like so many battlers out there, and there's so many really good battlers out there, and then there's a whole bunch of battlers that are still finding themselves, finding their own style basically, and you get that a lot. You get where it's like, oh, I could have bodied that guy. I could have put him in a body bag. I could have done this. I could have done that. And then they do their own battle, and it's
trash.
Not that, and it's like, and I'm not gonna say we've all been there as far as like battle rappers, but at some point, it's like you gotta learn to just be like, all right, I need to rethink a plan to strategize better, and like, I want to say when I first did my first acapella battle, trash. I said some good stuff, but it was just completely different from freestyling over beats and just doing that on the spot, and then actually doing that but to acapella and being consistent with like punchlines and bars, and with the beat's still going, so the beat's kind of still carrying you in a sense. With the acapella, there ain't no beat, so like people are just like, they'll make noise for something really dope you said, and then they'll just be like waiting for the next dope thing, so it can be a little nerve-wracking. I've been in situations where I've rapped flawless rounds. I've seen battlers do crazy rounds where they have the whole building shaking basically, which would be like a room shaker, and like they say a really dope bar, and then, the whole room erupts because it's just how crazy, regardless of whether it's like funny, witty, intelligent, just how it was structured, the multisyllabics of it, it could be a number of things, like even with like the delivery, with how they say it, the way they say it, like the emphasis that they put on with how they deliver it. It could be the most, ineffective bar ever. And the way that they deliver that can just, obliterate the room, basically.
Yeah, and so what we're talking about now is artistry, because, you know, and again, if you see, I see a lot of people, I always hear the critic in my head, no matter what. And I always hear people saying, again, with the gamers, oh, they're lazy, or, you know, the rappers, oh, they don't have talent, you know. But unless you in it, unless you see it and you know what's going on here, you recognize, man, this is artistry. You're talking about punchlines. And I think of it from a performance aspect. There's tons of performers that are watching this right now, whether you're a belly dancer, whether you're a DJ, whether you're an athlete, maybe you're you know, a competitive, you know, football player, soccer player, basketball player, whatever. We're talking about a performance. Even when you're giving up to give a keynote speech at a conference, it's a performance. All the world's a stage, right? And when you put on a show, you got to have your stuff together. And so, you know, you talk about people getting nervous, or you've been flawless before and nobody was in the room, or you had all the cameras on you. It's hard.
Yeah.
Even what we're doing right now, there's an aspect of showmanship that comes along with this show. And so, you know, you're talking about artistry, man. You're talking about, I mean, this is another level, right? I mean, what do you say to those people that may be criticizing it? You know, because there's a lot of things about hip hop and rap that are not perfect, right?
Right.
They have, there's legit criticism amongst it to be said. But when you get into this subgenre, right? When you get in this community of battle rap, I mean, we're talking about some minds that are just a buzzing. Like, I think about it when I see people do it, I'm like, damn, how did they think of that? Like, their minds are in Mars.
Yeah, some of the things these battlers be writing, like, I mean, you know, like, I'm always writing all the time. And I amaze myself sometimes with like how I write, and like I was like, damn, I really came up with that. But like some of the stuff that these battlers come up with, and like how they rap it, and like just like, how do you write so well, you know? And it's like, you know, for instance, a battle rapper, I believe he's from Florida, Lou Cypher. That dude's crazy, like, and he's a gamer. He uses game bars, anime bars, and like it's just the way he raps, the way that he delivers his stuff. It's just crazy. You know, he's definitely like a very highly respected pen in battle rap.
Yeah. So now we're talking poetry. You see what I'm saying? It's like that people don't recognize about how much talent is within each of every one of these groups, man. It's like you can't just blanket, you know, broad paintbrush a whole community, you know? But I think if you in it, people know. Yeah.
You know, like if you're new, it'll take some time to figure out what's actually fully going on. You know, like I brought so many new people to a battle event, you know, to some of my events that have never been to events before. And it's I get this a lot from a lot of like new venues and locations that I'll throw an event at. The staff will be there, or, you know, the owners or people that the owners know or whatever, and they've never been to a battle event, and then they'll see that, and then they'll see the production put into it, and they're just like, oh, this isn't just some, you know, two people just rapping at each other. Like, this is a competitive event where it's, you know, just like cameras are set up in here. We got cameras set up. It's live on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You know, so like it ends up being a bigger and greater experience for new people that have never been to an event like that.
Yeah.
You know, and they get to see a little bit more. And then of course, you know, depending on who's battling, they might like it or they might not, you know, but they do see like that it's more than just, you know, we're just yapping off or whatever, you know. We're here actually trying to like you know, get more views, battle in more leagues, get better opponents, become the headlining battler, you know, like, you know, so it's definitely, I get a lot of like good feedback from like brand new people to battle rap.
Yeah. So the talk of the town over the last couple of weeks, and people are going to laugh when they hear this, has been the Super Bowl halftime performance, right? So again, people in our era, you got to see Dr. Dre, you got to see Snoop, you got to see 50, you got to see Eminem, Mary J. Blige, a bunch of everybody was out there.
That's just that lineup right there is crazy. And you get that for, how long was it? Like 12 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that? Jeez.
And so give us your thoughts on the hip hop Super Bowl halftime show. Give us your thought on hip hop, the state of the community, and, you know, what you may think about, rappers these days, man? Any comments on them?
I think I thought that the halftime show was pretty cool. Of course, only someone like Snoop Dogg can C-walk on national television in the middle of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very well produced. Like they went all out. They went all out for it. Dr. Dre went all out for that, and so it was pretty dope to see, to be alive, to be able to see, that actually happen.
Yeah.
Where hip hop took over.
Yeah.
I know, like, it was like people were wondering like why 50 Cent was on it and all that, and I was like, well, more so I'm wondering why he was upside down. Like he came down like Batman and then like started doing rapping his song and all that. But I think that it played a good part in helping the hip hop culture that was in the halftime show. I mean, people, hip hop is one of the most listened to music genres in the world, one of maybe like top 3. But, so for that, to see that there on the NFL, which was, I'm sure, like a first time ever, it definitely made like a strong statement, like, hip hop, we're here. This is America. This is also another genre that made the country what it is, as far as like the community, here in San Antonio or just in general?
I'd say both. I want to talk to you about San Antonio as well, but let's just give me the in general first, because again, one of the things that I see is guys in our era, you and I are come up from the same sort of era, man, and I think a lot of people watching this may be in that same era as well. And then you got guys that are talking about, man, the kids these days, right? Now we turn into that crew.
The generations.
Correct, man. They're talking about, oh man, this mumble rap, this BS, I mean,
everything. And I'm not going to say it's like everything advances, but yes, everything does advance. But I mean, we all had every generation, we had our own type of music that we listened to that was different.
Yeah.
Like, I guess like for us now, like Sugar Hill Gang, even KRS-One, that would be like the older generation from what we grew up from. So like what we're growing up from, these kids don't even listen to those artists. But I mean, it's okay. It's just I guess the difference would be in content.
Yeah.
And which is crazy because, you've got all these young artists who have, passed away from like drug overdoses, like super young artists that were big, like Mac Miller, Triple X, Tentacion, however you say his name. I don't even remember how you say his name, but like all those artists that were big and became iconic in such a short period of time, and then they're gone. It's like we can't pretend that wasn't happening in our generation of hip hop that we grew up on.
Yeah, it wasn't perfect,
but it wasn't. I feel like it wasn't as promoted the way it's being promoted now. The rappers are gonna rap about whatever they rap about, and the record labels put that out. So, at a time then when it was more desensitized, society. Now it's we all had the cancel culture and everything, and like, you have to be very, very careful with what you say nowadays. Anything. They can use against you. Even stuff that, for instance, the whole Joe Rogan stuff, even things that he said many years ago that still holds weight, so it's like, I don't know. People, we rap about what we grew up on.
Yeah.
Everyone's, livelihood, lifestyles, environments that we grew up in are completely different.
Yeah.
But, it's always seemed like, record labels would want to put more money behind, things that might, in my opinion, would take away from, the minority communities.
Okay.
So for instance, promoting the whole drugs and everything.
Yeah.
Now you got all these other, people doing drugs and, I mean, it's different because like I'm writing an album right now called Not Dead Yet. And it's basically about my past, you know, and in my past, I had to do what I had to do in my past. And in my music that I make, I never really talk about that, you know, so I'm like dedicating a whole, you know, project to getting all that out there. Everything I went through, you know, from, you know, the violence to drugs to, you know, being on my own at 14, having to pay bills and doing it, whatever I have to do to make that, you know, make ends meet and all that. And like, so I'm dedicating that to, you know, a whole project. But I normally don't even talk about things like that because I'm not trying to glorify that. You know, like I came from, you know, the struggles I came from. And I definitely, like when I try to talk about it, it's kind of funny, but it's like I relive it. So like as I'm writing this album, I'm reliving all that stuff that, not that I tried to forget about, but things that for many years had haunted me, you know? So it's like a lot of like traumatic, you know, situations. So like, and I'm not doing that to glorify it. You know, I just want to be able to tell that story and then just let that be out there.
No, that's what's up though, man. I'm glad you said that because look, we all got a past, right? We all had to do some things, right? And the hip hop culture, man, it grew from like concrete, man. It grew from the mud, and people had to just find a way. And you know, you think about black culture in the United States. I mean, culture that came from even the worst atrocities known to man, and it somehow evolved into hip hop, into rap, into emceeing, into breakdancing, into DJing. And it was beautiful. I mean, it's like, to me, when you think about the Super Bowl, that is the soundtrack to current present day America. You know, when you think about songs, you think about, you know, MCs and rappers out here that are speaking to the things that are really happening. You know, police violence, poverty, you know, domestic violence. I mean, there's a ton of issues that our communities, you know, you think about sexism, all these things that are happening out there. These rappers are putting it on the forefront for everyone. Like, this is the soundtrack right now to the current realities that many of our people, black and brown communities, are experiencing on a daily basis. So I try to soak up as much culture of it that I can. And I try to listen to a little bit of everybody, man, because I think everybody, like you mentioned, has evolved. Like, you know, there wouldn't be a Kendrick without a Dre, right? Or an Eminem, right? And there wouldn't be all of these other people that came off someone else, right? I mean, there wouldn't have been an Eminem without the Beastie Boys, right? I mean, so on and so forth. And, you know, you mentioned Sugar Hill Gang. I mean, they inspired, how many people did they inspire?
Yeah, I know. It's countless. What were they, this late 70s, right?
Yeah. And I think of, you know, you mentioned some rappers, you know, I think of, and again, it's not to say the kids these days don't understand hip hop or don't understand the game, but it's like, man, for me, you know, hip hop and music has always just been on. It's like, I never had a time where I wasn't listening to music, whether it was a tape deck, whether it was a Walkman, whether it was a CD player, you know, I was always listening to something, and even playing sport, you know. That's why I was glad with the football game, the Super Bowl, they put, you know, hip hop culture on Front Street, because, you know, the cultures have always been intertwined, rappers and athletes. You know, man, I think about the Fab Five up in Michigan, where I'm from. You know, you from Minnesota, you spent some time in Minnesota, you know, Milwaukee, man, just these communities, Detroit. You know, listen, one of the first albums that I could listen to from start to finish at the gym for like an hour, if I have an hour session, is D12's The Re-Up.
Oh, yeah.
That it was like a mixtape. It was a mixtape that with all these underground rappers that Eminem and Shady put on, man. And every track is dope, man. You know what I'm saying? So even from a performance and getting in the zone, right? I'm having that music and those beats and that melody play off and over again to you, man. It gets you ready, man. So there's something to be said about, you know, that music and that artistry, how it speaks to people.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I was just thinking too, like, with the generations of today, like this generation now has way more access to information than we ever did, you know, when we were growing up, you know. So like when we're listening to all these albums when we were growing up, that was almost like us experiencing, you know, those stories from whatever group from wherever region, you know, in America or the world, you know, we're experiencing that. And like now it's like we just get on our phones and you know, see what's going on over there and, you know, wherever, you know, like, you know, so like kids, not just kids, but like, you know, this generation today, you know, they have more access to the information to be able to experience things without even being there, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's different because with music, I don't know. Maybe that's why, like, you know, I'm not hearing too much about the struggle from the most popular artists, compared to like what they're glorifying, you know, if that makes sense. You know, like you hear Tupac songs, and you know he's talking about how he grew up, you know, and things he came from, and then you compare it to, like, I don't know, not that these two artists would ever be compared, you know, but like, you know, just a random song today, and it's about, like, you know, like turning up in the club or something like that, you know. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, I listen to a lot of music of today's generation for sure. One of my favorite artists of today's generation is JID, Jid. You know, he's part of Dreamville, I believe, which is J. Cole's record label. You know, and Kendrick Lamar is another artist, but he's more so, which is weird because he's like my age. You know, he might be a little bit older than me, I think, but like he's my age, and you know, he's been an artist that has been putting out like countless amazing content for like the past decade, maybe longer. And yeah, man, I don't know. Like, so San Antonio, what we have here, we have a lot of amazing artists. Yeah. You know, for instance, you know, you just had Vocab out here.
Yeah, Vocab was in the studio.
She's amazing. I've seen her perform plenty of times. First time I met her, I believe she was performing was the first time I met her, and she was just amazing. Like, everything she does is amazing. She's like
anything Vocab touches turns platinum.
That's right. She's a person of the millennia for me, for sure. You know, so you got like artists like Vocab. Like, everything she does is amazing. She works with a buddy of mine, Nick Shan, really, really good producer.
Yeah, I know Nick. What's up, Nick?
What up, Nick?
I know he's watching.
Yeah. You know, we have you know, my little sis, Cree 23.
Cree, what's up, Cree?
And she actually says hi. I was just with her earlier. She said it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Told her I'm gonna get her up here next time. So
yeah.
But you know, we got a lot of really, really dope artists here in the city. And there's a lot of artists still that I don't even know about within the city and that are coming out. And we just have like that's just as crazy about rap and hip hop. There's always another rapper. There's always another really dope rapper too. Yeah. You know, you kind of have to not sift through them, but there's just so much out there to listen to, you know. So, you know, what are your favorite artists of the day?
Man, I love it's. You know, it's interesting because I'm still a guy who will listen to this one track from like 1989 from this one rapper, and that's on my playlist no matter what. Mm-hmm. Right? One of those is Big Daddy Kane. Yeah. And I just like random shit. I listen to everything, man. I listen to random 80s music or random 90s music, right? Most of it's hip hop focused. I like, man, Run the Jewels, man.
Run the Jewels is fire.
The bass lines, the beats, man, they speak to me, man. Because I like, you know, again, I'm a gym guy. I'm always at the gym throwing weights around, and so I've always got that playing. I do like Kendrick. I like a little bit of everything, man. I mean, again, Eminem, I'm from Michigan. And when he first came out, I mean, he came out battling too, you know, and I don't say it much, but I say it for him, for a guy like Larry Bird, a guy like, Cooper Kupp, Super Bowl MVP, my boy Nick Askey. I say it, man, that's a bad white boy. I don't say that too much, but that's a bad white boy, Eminem, you know. He's still a wild little dude.
Yeah.
You know?
That's crazy you bring him up, because I get a lot of comparisons to Eminem.
I can see that.
And it's like crazy because I've never listened to Eminem. Like, you know, I've heard songs that he's been on. I've heard like random songs on the radio, but I've never been like one to be like, you know, I'm going to go buy this album. And it's not because I don't like him. It's just I just was never, you know, into, you know, what he was doing, you know, and he's a talented rapper. Yeah. You know, he's extremely talented, but it's just like never been my cup of tea. And it ended up, so many people compared me to him. It ended up growing a dislike for him.
I can see that too.
It has no even, you know, like there's no even like correlation with that other than just people being like, yeah, you sound like Eminem. I'm like, thank you.
Grin and bear it.
Grin and bear it. I mean, it's a great compliment. You know, it's compared to someone who's revered as like one of the best rappers in the world, you know.
Yeah. So if you're watching this and you know a little bit about the San Antonio market, the community, the hip hop circles, comment and tag your favorite MC, your favorite artist, because listen, the network's got to be tight. It's got to be, we got to hook each other up. And so one of the questions I want to ask you is that for those up and comers, those people that are right in, those people that are trying to shoot for the moon, what do you tell those people, right? Whether you're a rapper, an artist, a singer, a poet, an MC, what do you tell them?
Keep going, never give up. Write your heart out. Write whether you have a beat or not. You know, just continuously write. Write every single thought down. Like, that's what I do. I write all the time. I don't need a beat to write. I just write. Could just be poetry. Could be like what I'm going to do for the day. You know, whatever. Just like write. Get into that consistency of always writing. The whole part about, you know, never giving up. You might play a show to where there's like nobody there.
Yeah.
You know, and then
we've all been there.
Yeah, and it will happen. Trust me, it will happen. But you know, you might play a show that nobody's there, and you might have busted your ass with promo, and you know, it happens. You know, don't give up on that. Don't give up because you released a song and not many people, you know, listen to it or whatever. You know, in today's day and age, you have to do a whole lot to promote yourself. So, you know, like constantly learn about the music business. That's a good tool. I wish I had learned about the music business when I first got into, you know, doing this for basically for a living. You know, like I moved up to Minnesota when I was 19, and I did that specifically for hip hop, for music, you know, and it was a situation where I just like, all right, I got a lease for 6 months, got a one-way ticket. Had like $300, you know, and then I went up there. Ended up, you know, staying for 6 years, you know, and made a career out of it, and, you know, continue to do so. But, you know, I ran into a lot of like, oh, you can't do this. Oh, you won't be able to do this. Oh, you could come back home if it doesn't work out. And it's just like, nah, I never gave up. You know, I went through being broke up until, you know, I no longer was broke, you know, off of music. You know, another one is always be creative, try new things. You know, there's different, the way I do something, whether it's releasing a song, put together a show, or who I put on the song or whatever, like how I do things works for me, might not work for the next person. Do whatever works for you, find what works best for you, and continue to do that while still trying to, you know, learn more. And then just, you know, confidence, be confident, be the dopest rapper ever, you know, not just in your mind, but in everyone's mind, you know, but have a lot of confidence in yourself.
Absolutely. So one of the things about, man, you touching on so many things right now, man. It's hard to keep focus here. You got me going in this lane, that lane. Here's the thing, and I want to talk about innovators in just a minute, but the good thing about what we're all doing right now, whether you're a creator, whether you're operating in the online or social media space, is that if something doesn't exist, you can create your own, right? You don't got to follow these rules, right?
No.
You don't have to be like this rapper, right? You don't have to be like this artist or this creative. You can do your own thing.
Well, that's what, okay, so music industry is constantly changing, especially now so more than ever, because, you know, who were the record execs that first put out, you know, hip hop albums? They were people that were execs for rock and roll labels. Yeah. You know, like, what do they know about hip hop?
Exactly. Yeah.
Nothing. They just know what people like and sell that. You know, nowadays, like, we got Kanye who just freaking, he's not distributing through any distributor. He's having people buy $200 stem players. And he's making all his own money. That's all his own stuff. Yeah. He's recreating the game with what he's doing, which is crazy. You know, like, you know, Jay-Z, what did he have? Title, you know, and like now he's on the board for, you know, for the reason why we had a hip hop halftime.
Exactly.
During the NFL.
That's the other thing, yeah.
Like, it's crazy. People are recreating the industry right now. And that wasn't ever a thing. We didn't have or not just me, like the artists before me, they didn't have SoundCloud, they didn't have Bandcamp, they didn't have, you know, all these DSPs to distribute their music through either. But like, you know, I'm bringing up the Kanye thing because he's taking away these companies that pay very, very little for streaming.
Yeah.
And then he's just basically raking it in. You know, I put one of my albums, my album Patience, that is produced by Moon Doctor. It's out on Fresh Moon Records. It's on all streaming platforms. My first project and release I've ever put out on all streaming platforms that wasn't like SoundCloud or Bandcamp. Normally, I just release music, print it, press it, CDs, whatever.
Yeah, and
I play shows, do all that, and then I sell them hand to hand. You know, like I released a song and, you know, I made, let's say, like $15 in like the first 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
You don't even get that, you know, from streaming.
I know.
You know, man. And it's just crazy. So, like, I don't know. What's happening right now is, you know, create your own, you know, like you were saying, like, create your own way of doing things.
You can create your own thing. And that's even with us. So, one of the things I was talking to Guylan about before you came in here was consistency. Mm-hmm. You just spoke on that too, right? If you young, if you looking to get into game, whatever, no matter what it is, if you're dancing, if you're emceeing, if you're hosting, if you're podcasting, it's to be consistent. You know, there's a lot of people that have told me, "Hey, you ain't gonna. What are you doing? Why are you trying to get on these mics, man? What you gonna do? Well, you ain't Joe Rogan. Well, you ain't Kevin Hart. Well, damn, I ain't trying to be none of them either, right? We just doing our own thing. We out here talking, having conversations. We out here hosting. We're showing people a different side of our community, right? Mm-hmm. Listen, I want to table the innovators thing, but you mentioned being in Minnesota. I'm from Michigan. You know, a lot of the MC and hip hop game has been influenced on a larger scale from New York, from California. San Antonio has a unique sound. I didn't want to skip that over either.
No, for sure. No.
Because there's a lot of artists and MCs. Here's that blend, you know, this fusion, right? It's mixed in with, you know, the Tex-Mex culture. It's got influences from, you know, from the south side, from the west side of town, right? I mean, you know, it's a unique sound in San Antonio that gets overlooked because it's the 7th largest city in the country. But if you're thinking of the places where the best or the top MCs, you ain't thinking of San Antonio, right?
It's definitely like something that's overlooked by, I guess, the majority, you know. It's just because people don't know. That's all it is. You know, people don't really know. We don't necessarily have like, not going to say that we don't have artists that are just as good as that in San Antonio, but we don't have like our own, like, you know, Eminem, you know, we don't have like our own Busta Rhymes, you know, we don't have our own Kendrick. We don't have our own, we have a lot of artists in development that are going to eventually be there, you know, but they're not there yet to make a big enough noise in the hip hop industry globally to where people are like, San Antonio, that's where so-and-so, you know, like when I think of San Antonio, I think of this rapper, you know, and like when you think of Detroit, you think of Eminem or Royce the 5'9" or Jay Dilla, you know, when you think of New York, all those artists, you know, LA, all those artists, you know, so on and so forth. But yeah, no, San Antonio, there's a lot of artists that are getting there, you know, Kyle Lee is, you know, one of, you know, the bigger artists here.
King Kyle Lee.
Mm-hmm. You know, so like, I mean, he's been doing this thing for many years.
A lot of people know Kyle Lee.
Still is, you know. So like, in a sense, you know, that would be like our, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that would, in my opinion, would possibly be like the more well-known artist out of San Antonio. And then you got artists like, you know, who's more into artist development now, which was Question, you know. Question was another one who was one of like the bigger artists that came out of San Antonio. But, you know, like I said, now he's in artist development, which is amazing, and they're doing amazing things with what, you know, he's got going on over there. But, I mean, you know, we definitely have a lot of dope artists here in the city. You know, I myself, I'm, you know, in that race too. You know?
Yeah, you are.
But I don't look at it as a race. But
it's
I'm part of all that.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, we'll eventually get there. You know, within the next decade, there's going to be an artist from San Antonio that's going to put, you know, the city on the map.
No, you in the running for that, you know, for sure. And you ain't, you know, we invited you in here because I think that you deserve some shine. One, 2, we just wanted to come in and vibe, right? It's been a while since you and I got together.
Yeah, for sure.
And, 3, I got to ask you as well, man, since we're on the topic, and I think this also drives whoever the best really is. And I say the best is subjective.
Yeah,
right?
It's highly opinionated statement.
Yeah. When I say the best, though, I mean, there's different things that define what, how, and who the best is. But I had I heard it, it's funny, Gylon, man, he was laughing. I mean, there's an infamous sit-down interview between Shaq and Kobe. I don't know if you ever saw it. This happened before Kobe passed away. Mm-hmm. It happened on NBA TV, where they sat Shaq and Kobe down to have a face-to-face interview. They used to be teammates. Then they had beef. Shaq wanted out of L.A. because, when people are close to each other, they butt heads, right?
Was this after he was done playing already?
This has probably been when they retired. They both retired. So it was in between when they both retired and when Kobe passed away that they sat him down for like a must-see interview. And Kobe was like, man, I wonder what our team would have did against the 91 Bulls, the 89 Lakers. He's like, man, what would they would have did with you? He was like, he was telling Shaq, he was like, Bill Cartwright couldn't have took you, and Shaq was like, yeah, man, that would have been barbecue chicken. You know what I'm saying? That would have been easy.
Yeah.
I would have been taking Bill Cartwright, right? But there's a competitive edge to all of that. But, Kobe wanted to be the best, right? And you couldn't say Kobe didn't work hard. He didn't have the killer instinct. Again, if somebody is good, if somebody is great, if someone has talent, you can't deny it, right? But all of those people that are in that running, in that question, in that category, for those people that are in the best, they're driven by a reason, a motive, right? So I got to ask Spy, man, why you doing this stuff, man? Why? What's your why?
Why?
What's driving you to continue to do this, man? Because you don't got to do this.
No,
right?
I don't. This is my sanity. That's probably like the biggest one. It definitely helps me mentally. Performing in front of people, writing music, getting my thoughts out of my head, putting it on, amazing beats, recording it, delivering it, the message the way I want to deliver it, and then performing it. Like it's all mentally therapeutic for me. Now, I write a lot of music that has a message, like a good message. I'm not intending on fixing the world or changing the world or anything, but, if it, what my message reaches, 1, 2, or however many people, and it changes something that they do in their life for the better or whatever, then that's another reason why I do it, But, I guess, at the beginning, I wanted to be the best rapper, and now it's different. I just want to reach as many people as possible.
Okay.
Deliver that message that, we could, no matter our differences, we can all, get along together. There's a lot of struggle that I talk about in my music as well that is definitely something that others can also relate with because of how they might have gone through something similar growing up. And, it also helps them feel like, oh, they're not alone in this world. There's more people, that grew up this certain way, I guess that's helping my sanity and helping, others, It's basically what drives me.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, there's balance that we find in this. There's freedom that we find in this, man. And there's levels to the game always, man. And so I got to bring back the conversation on innovators now because I myself, and I think you're in the same category. There's a lot of other people in these categories that are out there doing stuff, making moves, and they understand the concept of duality and, being hybrid type performers, and you straddling the lines between different cultures, and you're making your own blend and fusion up. And I know you like a little bit of the fight game, right? And just in the fight game, just like in the rap game, just like any artistry, you're telling stories.
Yep.
Right? You're telling stories, and you're living out a truth, and you're living out, how we move. And, I like mixed martial artists because there's an art to martial arts, right? There's an art to it, man. So I know you like a little bit of the fight game, man. So tell me a little bit about who your favorite fighters are, man. So if this is for all those UFC heads, those bare knuckle brawlers.
I say currently with like UFC, you know, Adesanya, you know, Israel Adesanya.
The style bender. You see what I'm saying? The concept of different types of arts and blending them together to make your own unique style and brand. The conceptual aspect of that is something that people don't get.
Yep. Being multifaceted and creating a trade out of that, you know. In this instance with fighting, you know, style bender, Izzy. He uses all different types of styles and arguably has become the best. You know, he is the best fighter in his division. That's why he's the champ. And he's attained the belt, you know, for so long. Another favorite fighter of mine, I feel like I just watched a fight of his. It's like at the tip of my tongue.
Heavyweight, middleweight.
It's gonna come. It's like, damn.
Kamaru Usman, probably.
Kamaru Usman, I'm a fan of his. Ngannou.
Francis Ngannou. Come on now, heavy hands.
And it's crazy. He has one more fight, or he's done.
I think he has one more fight based on the contract in the UFC.
That's what
he was trying to get out of it, something like that. He had knee surgery.
Because he wanted more money.
Yeah.
You know, I think what he was just saying, like doing fights for $500,000, and then you got like they're doing the bare knuckle fighting, and then you know got someone like Mike Perry who. I can't stand Mike Perry. I root every time he gets punched in the face. But, you know, he just made a hefty bag fighting over in Masvidal's new bare knuckle league.
Yeah.
You know, and like, so I think that's what the issue was with wanting to get out of the contract. But I think he has one more fight left. I thought that the Cyril Gane fight was going to be that last one, but I think he's got one more.
I think if he lost, it was over with his contract. Since he won, he's got to do one more fight based on a clause in the contract.
Dana did say in an interview that they were going to have dinner again.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe he's going to throw out a number to Ngannou to keep him, because, you know, Ngannou can do one of them fights like what are those brothers? The brothers,
the Paul brothers.
Yeah, the Paul brothers.
Jake and Logan Paul.
Yeah, there you go, the Paul brothers. Like,
I'm not too much of a fan of those guys.
I'm not either, but they're creating bags. They're creating bags for these
some
fighters,
good conversations, you know? Around fighter pay and equity and all that.
I like that part. The whole, you know, shock value for YouTube or whatever. Like that's, you know, that's over there. Yeah. But you know, what they're actually doing, like that's definitely admirable. You know, like you're really pointing out that these fighters aren't getting paid. And these fighters are starting to slowly get paid. Yeah. You know, through, you know, UFC. Like, you know, Dana's having to do more now.
A lot of the guys, man, you know, one of my probably the best fighter ever we can legitimately say is John Jones. I mean, again, you know, that's going to be a hard conversation or a hard argument to debate because he's done it all. He's cleaned out. You know, he has one loss, but it wasn't really a loss. He cleaned out the division. He's probably going to move up to heavyweight. If he fights again in the UFC, he's probably going to be the heavyweight champion. He's just a beast. Both of his brothers are in the NFL. He comes from a pedigree, and the guy's he's a bad dude. He's talking about he wants to get paid more money. And you know, listen, there's something to be said about that. A lot of these big leagues, UFC, NFL, NBA, it's not a system that takes advantage of these guys. I don't think entirely, but it's a business. You know, it's just like any other business, any other company, corporation. They're trying to make money. They're trying to sell fights. They're trying to get ratings. They're trying to, you know, advance their product by all means necessary. And I don't know too many business owners that have been fair and just fine and done well.
Yeah, done well by the employee.
Yeah, exactly. That's life, man.
Yeah. That's all. That's just crazy to just hearing how like some of these like beginner fighters, like how their pay works out. Like they get 10 grand, you know, and it sounds like a lot just for 3-5-minute rounds of fighting. But like you think about the camp, and you have to pay for the camp, and then you know, for training, and that who knows how long the camp is, whether it's like 2 months to like half a year, you know, depending on with some fighters, you know. And that was like an issue with Ngannou. You know, he was broke. He was having to borrow money from people, according to him, during training for the Gane fight, you know. And it's like some of these beginning fighters are like, yeah, I won. I get to take 15K home. And then after you pay for whatever, you end up with what? Like, who knows? Let's just say 5, maybe half, you know, like it ends up looking like pennies with when you know that they could do more, you know, just like any sports, you know, any sporting league, you know, what they're paying players is increasing in a sense, you know, obviously like it kind of went weird because of COVID, but like, you know, that's just going to go back up once people are allowed to fully go into venues and, you know, stadiums and all that without having to worry about, you know, oh, half the stadium's not there because of COVID, you know, like then they'll actually start seeing more money than what they're seeing now, being able to pay out. But who knows? I'm pretty sure by then too they'll figure out an excuse to
some more rules, red tape.
We got to divert money this way and that way, you know, like, but.
Yeah, man, it's too bad. So look, if you run into business, pay your people. Dana White, pay your people. Come on, man.
Yeah, I want to see Ngannou fight. I want to see him fight John Jones.
Yeah, dude,
so pay him, pay that man.
That's gonna be a fight, man. Ngannou versus John Jones, because John Jones, he's not. I mean, I don't know, man. Ngannou's a true heavyweight.
Have you seen it?
I know he bulked up.
Yeah,
man.
like
he's big.
Yeah,
but can he still be effective? I think he can as a grappler, but how about as a striker?
I don't know, cause I feel like he'll be able to. I feel like he transitioned well into being a heavyweight.
He's huge,
like
man.
looking, because he's already tall. You know, he was already tall, and like where he was in his weight class, he didn't look like he was like overly big, but he looked like he could be bigger, right? So like now he's like that. Who knows? I mean,
so shout out to those three champions. You got the heavyweight champion, you've got the middleweight champion, and you got the welterweight champion, all African brothers. Badass brothers.
Who was Figueiredo? He just beat Moreno. He beat Moreno.
Okay.
So like
he's like a lightweight or something.
Right. But it was like a
Mexican cat, right?
Brazilian.
Oh, Mexican. Oh, the Mexican who lost.
Moreno is from Mexico.
Yeah.
Figueiredo from Brazil. And that, like, I didn't get to see that fight. I saw the replay, but that fight was crazy, and I hope they do a trilogy on that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of good fights. The thing about the UFC is, like, you know, when I was coming up, it was like basketball and baseball and football. Those were like the sports. I think it's fighting now because of the fact that you got so many different cultures, so many different communities, international sport, and you can legitimately say, okay, who's the toughest, who's the baddest, and then the artistry aspect of it. I mean, these guys have a one-stop shop game. You got to be good on the ground. You got to be good on your feet. You got to be able to be a good defender. You know, stuff takedowns, not get submitted, you know, all that stuff. I mean, it's interesting, man. Like, I like when I watch UFC, man, like I've been in circles where we just like watching, like everyone's quiet and we just watching the screen because you studying this, you looking at the openings, and it's a story, man. Like even Izzy's last fight, he fought Whitaker for the second time, and everyone was upset with Izzy because he didn't win convincingly. But it's like sometimes you just win.
Yeah,
right?
That's what that's Whitaker was saying. It's like, well, everyone said I won. I felt
he had a couple of takedowns because
but I didn't get to watch it yet. So
Izzy, he took Izzy down a couple times, and the thing is, Izzy's never been a grappler type, but he's a striker.
We saw he fought. He moved up a weight class and fought.
Yeah,
who did he fight?
John. He was the light heavyweight champion at the time.
And he had him on his back the whole time
because Jan's a bigger dude. That was the game plan.
Bigger, but that also proved like that he's not good.
That's
on
his
the ground,
weakness, yeah.
You know, and like that's one thing he needs to do, and I'm pretty sure he has. I don't know. You know, like I said, I didn't watch that last fight, but if he don't win convincingly versus a champion that's like been champion for many years, you know, like then they're obviously gonna give it to the
you got to beat the
remaining champ, you know, so.
Yeah, and Izzy already beat him once, the first fight. So this is the rematch. You got to win convincingly. That's the way it works, you know. And then, you know, again, if you leave it up to the judges, you know, hey, if you're gonna win, you got to try to go for it.
I don't think Izzy's gonna move up either.
I don't think. I mean, who knows? Nobody. I don't know. These guys. It all depends. I mean, shit. Who knows? I think that. I don't know, man. I mean, it depends how easy he can move up or down. I mean, I think there might be some other guys that they do like super fights with. I think because he went up to light heavy, so I think you could get some other guys to either come up or come down to face him like super fights.
Yeah. Who was it that was trying to do that?
Like a promoter or what?
No, not
a fighter?
Like in UFC. Like there was a UFC fighter that was in that same weight class, the weight class above him, that challenged him after Jan.
Is he?
Yeah, I forgot who it was.
Could have been John Jones. I heard John Jones talking about it. They were beefing on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah, but that was just that. John Jones would freaking kick. I think he would kick Adesanya in half.
He probably
especially
would.
Now with his size. Like,
yeah.
But yeah. I mean, Izzy's a great fighter. Do you have a fighting background?
I got an athletic background.
More athletic, like you.
But I'm like an any sport dude.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of messed around in some wrestling and some striking, but I never did anything real for real.
Yeah, I was soccer, basketball, and football up until I was 15, and then I started doing Shui Jiao, which is old Chinese hand-to-hand combat and wrestling.
Yeah.
And then I did Wing Chun, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, Eskrima.
Okay.
And yeah, I did that for a good 15 to 24, 25.
There's something to be said about it, man, because most of these sports that you're talking about, I mean, most of them are, again, you think about the artistry aspect, but most of them are from a self-defense standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to know how to defend yourself. It's a scary world.
Yeah.
I have a daughter, and I'm like, man, she going to know how to take care of herself, period.
Yeah. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be taught by people who weren't teaching self-defense. They were teaching us to win the fight. Yeah. So that was one of the main things that they stressed was like, this isn't a self-defense class. You're being taught like how to handle real life situations, but not be on the defense, like to be on the offense. And then, in the Wing Chun, they had, tournaments, I never entered one, but like they had tournaments and, they, potentially winning those and all that. But yeah, I never really like learned like self-defense in the sense of having to defend myself more so than learning to win the fight, But self-defense definitely is something that should be taught in, today's households for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't be teaching people to be violent, but
no, by no means.
Yeah, but the unfortunate fact is people are going to be violent.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, look, it's a tough world out there, man. It's a tough world, and people got to know how to defend themselves, especially down in Texas where, it's like, man, everybody loves their guns more than anything else.
They forgot about the hands.
They don't want to talk about the hands. But listen, man, we got to wrap it up because we've been out here for over an hour, bro. We've been out here for an hour and a half. Can you believe it? Time went by quick. We got a couple of comments, man. I got to read them out to you. Frank Gonzalez says, I love you, Primo. And Joe, what's up, Anthony? Cheryl Metal says, SpyMC, one of our finest MCs. That's high comments coming from Cheryl.
Y'all.
What's up, Cheryl? Mickey Sweet says, the opening for In the Club video had 50 hanging upside down. That's why he was hanging upside down at the Super Bowl. And so if you don't remember that
makes
folks,
sense.
Yeah,
that
go back and watch. I think most folks caught it. A lot of people in here saying, what's up, Justin Dingman. We also got Nick says, my dog. I told you he was watching.
Hey,
what's up, Nick?
I knew it. Nick
And so
Chan, minus, cause, bro.
People loving the interview. Thank you so much for watching. Spot, I'm going to let you get the final words, man. Why don't you outro us? Give us whatever you may got for us, closing words. And I appreciate you coming down. Great interview tonight, man. We got a lot of good comments already.
Awesome. Yeah, all you listeners out there, viewers, watchers, love yourself, love others. Follow me on all social media platforms. iAMSPYMC. I got music all over, on all streaming platforms. And my next show is actually this Friday, February 25th with Ed O.G. at 502 Bar. So come out to that if you can. It's going to be $15 at the door, $10 on eventbrite.com. It's going to be a dope show. Other than that, stay tuned for what Maximo has next.
VOD Pod Media, thank you so much. Spy, one of the realest, my guy, thank you so much. Support your local artists. Guideline, what's up, baby? Take us home.